You've been told all your life to be liked, smile more, agree more, fit in, and yet you feel overlooked, underestimated, and dismissed. Why? Because being liked is cheap. Today, I'll show you the forgotten switch. The moment you stop chasing approval and start commanding respect. This is the law no one teaches you, but everyone obeys. Being liked is weak currency. People admire smiles, but they obey power from the time you could walk. You were taught that being liked is the path to success. Parents told you to be polite, teachers praised you for being agreeable, and society rewards those who smile even when they are breaking inside. You were told to bend, to soften, to seek approval in order to be accepted. And for a while it works. People smile back. They nod, they pat you on the back. Yet when it is time for decisions, for influence, for control, notice how their admiration does not translate into obedience. They liked you, but they did not follow you. Being liked is fragile. It is the weakest form of currency in the marketplace of human behavior. Like cheap coins, it shines at first glance, but holds no weight when real value is measured. A smile may win you attention, but it will not win you loyalty. People admire the agreeable man in the room, but when the moment arrives, where choices demand sacrifice, they look past him. They look toward the figure who commands presence, who holds authority, who radiates certainty. That figure is not always liked, but he is respected. The truth is simple: those who chase likability become prisoners of others' moods. Their identity bends to the will of the crowd. Their words soften to avoid offense. Their actions hesitate to avoid judgment. They are loved as long as they do not disturb anyone, as long as they remain harmless. But the moment they assert themselves, the warmth they once received turns cold. Being liked lasts only until you say something inconvenient. It lasts until you draw a line, until you refuse to be walked over. In the end, the agreeable man becomes disposable. Contrast this with the man who commands respect. He does not seek approval, he seeks recognition. He does not ask to be accepted, he demands to be acknowledged. His words carry weight, because he does not bend them to the winds of opinion. Even those who dislike him hesitate before crossing him. They may gossip, they may complain, but they cannot dismiss him. Respect binds even enemies in reluctant obedience. The weakness of being liked lies in its dependency. It depends on others' perception, which shifts like sand. One rumor, one mistake, one misstep, and the affection collapses. People are quick to abandon those they merely like, because liking carries no obligation. It is soft, sentimental, and fleeting. Respect, on the other hand, creates obligation. It forces people to adjust their actions in your presence. When you are respected, your absence is felt, and your words echo longer than the applause of shallow admiration. Look at the leaders of history, the ones who shifted the course of nations. Were they liked? Rarely. But they were respected. Their names were not spoken with fondness, but with weight. Even their enemies remembered them. To be liked is to be forgotten once you are no longer useful. To be respected is to leave an imprint that lingers beyond your presence. The problem with being liked is that it breeds weakness in the one who craves it. When you hunger for approval, you become easy to manipulate. Others know that a frown can break your resolve, that disapproval can silence your truth. You become predictable, bending whenever the crowd shifts. But the one who values respect over liking cannot be swayed so easily. He does not tremble at disapproval, for he knows approval is cheap. He does not surrender his principles for temporary applause. Those who aim only to be liked end up sacrificing their strength. They compromise their boundaries, they dilute their words, they avoid conflict at all costs. And in doing so, they invite disrespect. People may smile in their presence, but behind the curtain they see them as weak, pliable, unthreatening. Respect never belongs to the man who cannot say no. It never belongs to the man who bends too quickly. Being liked often means lowering yourself. Respect often requires elevating yourself above others' comfort. To be liked, you must constantly entertain, flatter, and serve. To be respected, you must sometimes deny, refuse, and stand firm. One is born of weakness, the other of strength. People may resent strength, but they cannot ignore it. They may resent firmness, but they will remember it. Consider how people treat authority figures. Rarely do employees, like their boss in the same way they like a friend, yet they obey the boss. They align their behavior with his expectations because respect is woven into the power structure. The boss may not be admired for kindness, but he is acknowledged for authority. Respect ensures order where liking cannot. Even in personal relationships, the same principle applies. The friend who tries too hard to be liked is often taken for granted. The one who establishes boundaries, who commands respect, becomes the friend whose absence is felt. Romantic partners, too, may enjoy a sweet personality, but they remain drawn to the figure who commands respect, not just affection. Affection without respect is fleeting desire. Respect without affection is still lasting influence. Being liked is easy. It requires little more than a smile, a joke, or a concession. Respect is difficult. It demands consistency, firmness, and strength. Yet because it is difficult, it is rare. And because it is rare, it is valuable. People may admire many, but they follow few. They may like many, but they obey only those who have mastered the art of commanding respect. The man who is liked, but not respected, is forgotten when convenience demands it. The man who is respected but not liked remains unforgettable, even to those who would rather erase him. To be liked is to be safe but powerless. To be respected is to be feared, valued, and remembered. Respect is the true foundation of influence. Admiration can vanish. But respect commands loyalty. Admiration is a fleeting thing. It rises like smoke from fire, visible for a moment, and then the wind scatters it. Men admire beauty, wealth, charm, or clever words, but admiration does not bind them. It is shallow, sentimental, and conditional. The moment something shinier, louder, or more entertaining appears, their admiration shifts. To build influence upon admiration is to build a fortress upon sand. It looks impressive from a distance, but one strong tide erases it without struggle. Respect, however, is different. Respect is not given freely. It is earned through strength, through consistency, through the demonstration of qualities that command attention even from unwilling eyes. It is not dependent on the fickle mood of the crowd, but on a recognition of something undeniable in the one who possesses it. Where admiration appeals to feelings, respect binds itself to judgment, and judgment, unlike emotion, carries weight. A man may admire your generosity, but still take advantage of it. He may admire your kindness, but never follow you. He may admire your talent, but still dismiss your authority. Admiration does not prevent betrayal. In fact, it often invites it. For those who only admire you see you as a decoration, not as a force. They celebrate you when convenient, abandon you when difficult, and envy you when your shine threatens their own. Respect, by contrast, changes behavior. When people respect you, they measure their words in your presence. They hesitate before defying you. They calculate before betraying you. Respect forces consideration, where admiration offers none. To influence others, admiration alone is useless. Influence is not secured by how many enjoy your company, but by how many adjust their decisions because of your presence. A leader who is admired but not respected is praised in public and ignored in private. A leader who is respected but not admired is feared, obeyed, and remembered. Influence demands obedience, and obedience is secured not through applause, but through the weight of respect. Those who hunger for admiration often make themselves soft. They learn the art of pleasing, of performing, of giving people what they want to see. For a time, they glow in the warmth of affection, but affection is unstable. The same crowd that cheers you today will cheer someone else tomorrow. The same audience that once admired your charm will grow tired and restless, demanding more, demanding different, demanding change. The man who survives only on admiration becomes a slave to the crowd's appetite, performing until he collapses, discarded when the next spectacle arrives. Respect cannot be bought with performances. It cannot be won through flattery. It cannot be maintained through pandering. Respect requires discipline. It requires boundaries. It requires the refusal to compromise certain principles even when compromise would earn applause. That refusal is what cements respect. People may not like it in the moment. They may grumble. They may resent the firmness. But deep within, they recognize its necessity. They recognize the strength they lack in themselves, and in that recognition, respect takes root. Admiration creates fans. Respect creates followers. A fan will cheer for you, but only when it costs them nothing. A follower will obey, even when it requires sacrifice. A fan will disappear when the storm comes. A follower will endure, because respect has bound them in a way admiration never could. Influence that rests on admiration collapses in hardship. Influence that rests on respect strengthens in adversity, for it is tested and proven under pressure. Consider how even enemies treat the respected. They may despise them, but they cannot ignore them. They may plot against them, but they do so cautiously, with acknowledgement of their strength. Enemies do not plot carefully against the merely admired, because admiration alone does not inspire fear. The admired are envied, mocked, or forgotten. The respected are studied, calculated against, and remembered. Influence does not require love. It requires presence so undeniable that even resistance bends around it. The foundation of true loyalty is not admiration, but respect. People may say they are loyal to someone they admire, but this loyalty is shallow and opportunistic. It dissolves the moment their admiration fades. Respect breeds a different kind of loyalty, one forged in necessity, an acknowledgement of power. Even those who do not wish to serve may serve when respect compels them. It is not affection that keeps men aligned to a leader in difficult times. It is the recognition that without that leader, they are weaker, lost, or vulnerable. Respect is not soft, it is hard. It is not sweet, it is sharp. That is why it endures. Sweetness fades, but sharpness cuts. Respect leaves marks. People carry it with them long after the interaction ends. They may forget how much they once admired you, but they will remember how much they respected you, and that memory shapes their choices in the future. Influence demands longevity, and longevity demands respect. The admired man is often envied and eventually resented, because admiration breeds comparison. The respected man may also be envied, but envy does not erase respect. In fact, envy strengthens it. People can dismiss admiration with jealousy. Yes, he is charming, but so what? They cannot so easily dismiss respect. Yes, he is powerful, and I must adjust myself to him. Influence rooted in admiration creates shallow bonds. Influence rooted in respect creates unshakable structures. One relies on emotion, the other on recognition. One vanishes with gossip, the other survives betrayal. The man who builds his foundation on admiration will constantly rebuild, always chasing, always performing. The man who builds on respect may face storms, but his walls stand firm. The switch happens when you stop seeking approval and start commanding presence. There is a decisive moment in every life, though few recognize it. A moment where a man must choose whether to remain chained to the opinions of others or to step into the territory where respect is forged. This is the respect switch, the turning point where the hunger to be liked is abandoned, and the hunger to command presence takes its place. Those who never make this switch remain ordinary, forever at the mercy of others' moods. Those who do make it ascend. To seek approval is to live in chains. Every thought is measured not by truth, but by how well it will be received. Every action is filtered through the question, will they like me for this? The man who seeks approval does not live for himself. He lives as an actor on a stage, waiting for applause. He is polite, careful, deferential, and agreeable, and in return, he receives the reward of approval, soft words, shallow smiles, fleeting praise. Yet when the applause fades and the curtain closes, he stands alone, powerless, ignored. Approval cannot shield him, cannot protect him, cannot elevate him. It is the currency of the weak, accepted only by those desperate enough to spend their dignity to gain it. Commanding presence is another realm entirely. It is not about being liked, nor about being admired. It is about creating a weight that cannot be overlooked. Presence is the force that makes a room shift when you enter it, the silence that falls when you begin to speak, the hesitation that stops others from interrupting you. Presence does not beg, it demands. It is not earned through begging for acceptance, but through demonstrating strength so undeniable that others cannot ignore it. The switch begins with rejection of the need to be liked. To reject this need is to free yourself from one of the most corrosive prisons ever built. Approval seekers live in fear of rejection, while those who command presence use rejection as proof of their independence. The man who makes the switch understands that not being liked is not a failure. It is a sign that he is standing firm in territory others fear to enter. Approval makes you dependent, presence makes you sovereign. The mechanics of the switch lie in discipline. To stop seeking approval is not simply to ignore others. It is to craft yourself into a figure whose confidence and authority override their judgments. This is done by sharpening your words until they cut, by refining your body so it projects strength, by disciplining your mind so it does not tremble at criticism. Presence is not accidental, it is constructed. Every decision, every posture, every silence contributes to it. When you are no longer swayed by others' moods, you radiate stability, and stability commands respect. Approval seekers rely on abundance of words, endless explanations, desperate smiles. Those who command presence rely on silence, certainty, and economy of motion. The seeker says, "Please understand me." The one with presence says, "This is how it will be." The seeker explains. The one with presence declares. The seeker waits for feedback. The one with presence does not ask. People gravitate towards certainty because certainty is rare. Approval seekers bend and shift, uncertain of themselves. The one who commands presence stands firm, unbending, and in that firmness others see strength. The switch also requires embracing conflict. Approval seekers fear disagreement, for disagreement threatens their supply of affection. But the one who commands presence welcomes it, for conflict reveals where power truly lies. Presence grows not in the absence of tension, but in its mastery. When others raise their voices, the one with presence lowers his. When others panic, he remains calm. When others attack, he does not retreat but sharpens his posture until they reconsider. Conflict does not weaken presence, it sharpens it. To make this switch, one must also abandon the addiction to constant validation. The man who seeks approval refreshes his identity daily, waiting for signs that others approve. He looks to the faces of friends, to the whispers of colleagues, to the numbers on a screen, all to reassure himself that he is liked. The man who commands presence does not feed on validation. His worth is not built on the shifting winds of others' opinions, but on his own unshakable certainty. When you no longer need constant approval, you radiate independence, and independence is the essence of presence. Approval is always reactive. Presence is always proactive. Approval waits for someone to grant permission. Presence creates the conditions where permission is unnecessary. Approval seekers live by reacting to others. Those with presence dictate the terms. And once the terms are dictated, others follow, not because they necessarily like it, but because they respect the one who set them. The respect switch is irreversible. Once you have tasted the strength of commanding presence, you cannot return to the weakness of begging for approval. You will find the smiles of others hollow, the praise empty, the applause meaningless. You will crave not their admiration but their recognition, not their affection but their obedience. The switch changes not only how others see you, but how you see yourself. You are no longer content with being liked. You are intent on being impossible to ignore. This shift transforms relationships as well. The one who seeks approval attracts opportunists, flatterers, and manipulators, those who know his hunger and exploit it. The one who commands presence attracts followers, rivals, and challengers. He may not be surrounded by many, but those who remain are bound more tightly. Approval builds a crowd, presence builds a circle of influence. To seek approval is to live as a servant. To command presence is to live as a sovereign. Approval seekers ask for permission to exist. Those who command presence impose their existence on the world. Approval whispers. Presence resonates. Approval is temporary. Presence is eternal. Those who chase likability become slaves to others' opinions. Those who earn respect dictate the game. The man who chases likability believes he is free, yet he is bound tighter than any prisoner. He shapes his words to avoid offense, alters his behavior to secure approval, and bends his will to match the desires of others. Each day, his identity is traded for acceptance, and he mistakes the fleeting warmth of smiles for strength. But the truth is clear. The one who must constantly be liked is a servant, not a master. He does not command his own path, for every step is chosen by another's opinion. To live in pursuit of being liked is to hand over power willingly. It means granting strangers the authority to decide your worth. It means allowing the crowd's reaction to govern your actions. Those who live this way do not govern themselves. They are governed by applause, by approval, by the temporary affection of those who will abandon them the moment they no longer serve their needs. The likable man becomes predictable, pliable, and ultimately powerless, for anyone who understands his hunger can control him with ease. Consider how easily opinions shift. A single mistake can erase years of likability. One word out of place, one decision against the grain, and the same people who smiled yesterday will frown today. If your strength rests upon their approval, you crumble with it. You may dedicate yourself to endless service, endless kindness, endless compromise, yet none of it guarantees permanence. In fact, the more you try to please, the weaker you appear. People do not respect the one who bends too easily. They exploit him. They may smile at his kindness, but beneath the surface, they see him as soft, as harmless, as disposable. The one who pursues respect moves in the opposite direction. He is not chained by the shifting moods of others. He is not swayed by the noise of approval or the sting of disapproval. His measure lies within himself, and because he governs his own identity, others must bend to his presence. Respect does not come from pandering, it comes from strength. It comes from boundaries that cannot be broken, from words that cannot be twisted, from a will that does not falter. The respected man dictates the game, because he does not play by the rules of likability. The likable man must constantly react to others, adjusting himself to whatever will maintain their affection. The respected man imposes his presence, forcing others to adjust themselves around him. Likability is reactive, respect is commanding. The likable man survives only by permission. The respected man thrives by dominance. Slavery to opinion is the most insidious form of weakness. The man enslaved by it thinks he is loved, thinks he is admired, but he is merely useful. He provides what others demand: comfort, flattery, agreement. When he ceases to provide, his value evaporates. In this slavery, he cannot move boldly, cannot speak freely, cannot act decisively, for each decision must pass through the invisible court of approval. And what is a man who cannot act without permission? Nothing more than a puppet on strings pulled by others. The respected man cuts those strings. He may not be liked, but he is heard. He may not be loved, but he is followed. His words are not tailored to please, they are forged to command. Even in disagreement, even in resentment, others cannot ignore him. They may curse his name, but they cannot erase his influence. That is the distinction. The likable man fades when affection fades. The respected man endures even in hatred. Respect carries a weight that likability never can. A likable man may draw many toward him, but they draw near with shallow intent. They come to be entertained, to be soothed, to be comforted. They do not come to be led. Respect draws fewer, but it binds them with strength. Those who respect you align themselves with you not because it pleases them, but because they cannot deny your authority. They obey not because they like you, but because they fear the consequences of ignoring you. And in influence, obedience matters more than affection. The world does not bend to those who seek likability. It bends to those who stand immovable in the face of judgment. A man who dictates the game does not ask what others will think of his move. He makes it, and others are forced to react. That is the essence of control. Not shaping yourself to fit the crowd, but shaping the crowd to fit your presence. Respect ensures that others calculate their steps with you in mind, even if they despise you. The paradox is clear: the more one seeks to be liked, the less he is respected. The more one demands respect, the less he requires being liked. Likability and respect rarely coexist, for one is born from concession and the other from strength. Those who build their lives upon likability may enjoy temporary ease, but they never taste the weight of true power. Those who anchor themselves in respect may endure resistance, but they secure permanence. It is not difficult to see why so many fall into the trap of likability. It feels safe. It feels warm. It gives the illusion of belonging. But it is an illusion, a fragile mask that can be torn away with a single act of disobedience to the crowd. The man who relies on it spends his life in fear. Fear of being disliked, fear of being excluded, fear of being abandoned. His life is not his own, for it is owned by the court of opinion that sits in judgment above him. The man who earns respect fears nothing from that court, because he has declared himself independent of it. His actions are not softened for approval, his words not dulled for comfort. He does not ask permission to exist, he imposes his existence on the world. Those who like him may stay, those who dislike him may leave, but none can deny his presence, and that presence dictates the game. Respect is not gifted, it is carved by firmness, clarity, and controlled ruthlessness. Respect is never handed freely, nor is it granted out of generosity. It is carved into existence through deliberate action, through an unbending firmness, through clarity of vision, and through the careful application of ruthlessness. Where it is required, those who wait for respect to arrive as a gift will wait their entire lives, for respect is not born of kindness. It is born of necessity. Men do not respect what they do not fear losing, and they do not respect what bends too easily. Firmness is the first chisel that carves respect. Without firmness, every word spoken is hollow, every boundary collapses, every promise evaporates. People test the limits of others constantly, whether openly or in subtle ways. They push to see how far they can go, how much they can take, how much weakness they can expose. The man who lacks firmness yields under pressure, thinking his compliance will win affection. Yet all it wins is contempt. Each concession signals to others that they can take more, push further, disrespect without consequence. Firmness, on the other hand, sets a line that does not move. It declares, this is the boundary, and it will not be crossed. Even those who dislike that line respect it, for they know it is real. Clarity follows firmness. Respect cannot be commanded by those who are uncertain, who drift without direction, who contradict themselves at every turn. A man without clarity is a man without gravity. He floats aimlessly, pulled by whichever force tugs at him strongest. People cannot respect what is undefined. They may pity it, they may manipulate it, but they cannot respect it. Clarity, however, brings weight. The man who knows his direction, who speaks with precision, who acts with consistency, becomes difficult to ignore. Even his enemies understand him. They may hate his direction, but they cannot dismiss his certainty. In a world drowning in confusion, clarity itself becomes a form of power. Controlled ruthlessness is the final carving tool. Many imagine ruthlessness as cruelty, as savage destruction. But raw cruelty earns only fear without respect. Fear alone may control for a time, but it decays into rebellion. Respect requires ruthlessness with purpose, directed with control. It is the willingness to act decisively when others hesitate, to punish betrayal without hesitation, to cut away weakness before it spreads. This kind of ruthlessness does not lash out blindly. It chooses its moments with precision, making each act of severity unforgettable. When people see that kindness will not prevent decisive consequences, they respect the balance of mercy and steel. Without controlled ruthlessness, firmness and clarity are vulnerable. Firmness without enforcement is only a bluff, and clarity without action is only words. Ruthlessness ensures that words have weight, that promises have teeth, that boundaries are not illusions. It transforms abstract strength into visible reality. Those who possess it are marked as dangerous, not reckless, but dangerous in a way that forces others to calculate before opposing them. That calculation is the essence of respect. The path to respect is never easy, because it demands sacrifice. It demands the sacrifice of comfort, of approval, of the easy road of being liked. It demands standing firm when others beg for compromise, speaking clearly when others drown in ambiguity, acting decisively when others are paralyzed by fear. It demands that one be willing to bear the hatred of some in order to command the respect of all. The weak crumble under this burden, for they cannot endure the cost of being disliked. But the strong embrace it, knowing that the weight of respect is heavier, but infinitely more valuable than the lightness of likability. Respect does not grow in gardens watered by endless kindness. It grows in the harsh soil of boundaries, discipline, and consequence. It is born when others realize they cannot manipulate you, cannot bend you, cannot dismiss you. It is reinforced when your decisions prove consistent, when your words prove unshackable, when your will proves stronger than their disapproval. It is sealed when your response to betrayal, challenge, or disrespect is not weakness, but a demonstration of power. The man who is firm, clear, and ruthlessly controlled does not need to beg for respect. His very presence demands it. People recognize in him the qualities they lack in themselves. And though they may envy him, though they may dislike him, they cannot deny him. He becomes the fixed point around which others must navigate, the figure whose approval matters not because it is sweet, but because it is consequential. What makes respect enduring is the fusion of these three elements. Firmness without clarity can become stubbornness without direction. Clarity without firmness can become talk without action. Ruthlessness without control becomes tyranny that consumes itself. But when firmness sets the foundation, clarity provides direction, and ruthlessness enforces both, respect becomes inevitable. It becomes impossible to ignore, impossible to dismiss, impossible to erode with gossip or envy. To carve respect is to accept that others will test you, provoke you, challenge you. They will resent your firmness, complain about your clarity, and fear your ruthlessness. Yet beneath the resentment, beneath the complaints, beneath the fear, lies the recognition of strength. And recognition is the soil in which respect grows. People may never like you for your firmness, but they will never forget it. They may resist your clarity, but they will remember it when others falter. They may fear your ruthlessness, but they will obey it. The weak wait for respect as though it were a gift, hoping that their kindness or generosity will inspire it. But respect cannot be begged. It must be carved, and carving requires hardness, precision, and the willingness to strike. It is not an art for the faint-hearted, for those who fear rejection, for those who shrink at confrontation. It is an art for those who understand that influence is not about pleasing others, but about shaping them. Respect is shaped with the hammer of firmness, the chisel of clarity, and the sharp edge of controlled ruthlessness. You have now seen the truth that most dare not speak. Being liked is a prison, but being respected is power. Approval fades, admiration wavers, affection is conditional, but respect endures. Respect is the anchor that holds influence firm when storms come, the force that bends others even when they resist. It is not given, it is taken. It is not soft, it is carved, and it belongs only to those who are willing to reject weakness and embrace the weight of strength. The world does not bow to smiles, nor to applause, nor to affection. It bows to presence, to firmness, to clarity, to the man who is willing to be feared if it means being remembered. Ask yourself now, will you remain a slave to opinions, forever chasing approval? Or will you step into the realm of respect, where others measure their actions in your shadow? If these truths stir something in you, then you already know this is only the beginning. There are more lessons, more hidden laws, more strategies that can free you from weakness and place you in command. Subscribe and do not miss what comes next.